Welcome back, Double Leg Premium members. It is time for the exclusive show where we go over our bets and let you know why we are taking them so that you have a little bit more information and you can get a little bit more confident. Without any further ado, let's start it with the main event. What do you got?
Oh man, I had to stick with Dustin Poirier. Justin Gaethje trains at elevation. I've been seeing this all week that he's going to have the better cardio possibly here, but Poirier's cardio is good all the way around. I don't think the elevation in this fight is going to make too much of a difference. And Poirier's undefeated in rematches. He lives for this moment. Main event guy, beat Conor McGregor twice in main events. A lot of pressure on him. Under the brightest lights in the world. And like I said, I've been saying this whole week, he's got that controlled chaos, and I think that's the perfect style to beat a guy like Gaethje. So I had to take him at minus 130, 2.6 units on the line. I think he gets it done, though. What do you got?
I went with Poirier too. I took him at minus 135 for a unit. I didn't want to go too heavy because I think it is a pretty even matchup, but I do favor Poirier ever so slightly, and I do think he's worth the play. So I took him there. I also took the over 2.5 rounds at minus 105 pretty early in the week. It's around minus 140, minus 145 now. So good closing line value there. We got that for 1.05 units to get back 1 unit. And then also threw a little sprinkle on the fight to end in round 4 at plus 1,000 for 0.1 units, and the fight to end in round 5 at plus 1,600 for 0.1 units. So just a couple sprinkles. Those bets, either fighter can win. It's just that the fight ends in those rounds, just basically because they're two guys that are going to absorb a lot of damage early. If it does go into those later rounds, one guy could take over, one guy could gas out. I think at those odds, it's definitely worth the shot. But that's all I got for the main event. Let's go on to the co-main event. Alex Pereira, Jan Blachowicz. What do you got?
I did not take Alex on the money line, and I was super close, and I'm still kind of eyeing that line. But I think that if Jan does get this thing done, I think it is by wrestling and control time and kind of taking away the striking of Alex Pereira. So I sprinkled on Jan by decision at plus 350 for 0.25 units. And I'm still kind of going back and forth. I have a feeling by tomorrow, though, I'm gonna play a little play on the Alex Pereira money line for a decent amount to where the Jan by decision is kind of just a hedge bet. Because I do think I just got a feeling Alex wins. I saw him at the weigh-ins, the face-offs, and he's looking much bigger than Jan, in my opinion. Taller, longer. He's looking full and thick. So I think he gets it done. I really do.
Yeah, I went with Alex Pereira money line at plus 115 for a unit. I just think he has the momentum coming into this one. I think he's going to be rejuvenated at 205. He's going to be a lot faster and sharper on the feet. I don't think, like, if Jan goes into this with the idea that he's going to go in there and just take him down, I don't think it works out well for him because it's not his normal game plan. So if that's his game plan going into this, he's going to feel a little bit awkward just trying to grapple Alex Pereira. Could he do it? Sure. But I think Pereira knows the stuff he has to defend, and he's going to be able to land some more significant shots throughout the fight. So I like him on the money line there. And then I also took the fight to go the distance at plus 190 for a half a unit. I think these are just two very high level fighters that are durable enough and have shown pretty good durability. Like Jan hasn't been finished all that often. The last time he got knocked out was like 4 or 5 years ago, and he's up at 205. Like he's fairly safe with these big heavy hitters at 205. Pereira just coming off the knockout, but I don't think Jan is going to be hunting for some kind of knockout. I think he's probably look to clinch him up, be safe on the feet, but also land shots when they're there. So I don't think he's going to be overextending himself too much. And it's probably just going to be a chess match, like on the feet. And then once it goes to the ground, it's going to be Pereira trying to work up, staying safe from submissions. So I do think it could go the distance at plus 190. I was down to take a stab. And then the underdog play, plus 7.5 significant strikes for Blachowicz. If it's on the feet, he could keep the pace up with Pereira. He could get knocked out as well and still cover. But if he does get the takedowns, he's not absorbing any strikes from the ground. So I like that as well. That is paired with Bobby Green, higher than 75.5 significant strikes there. 3x for a unit. And that is all I got for the co-main event. We'll keep moving to the newly crowned third fight of the main card, Derek Lewis and Marcos Rogerio de Lima, because Stephen Thompson and Michelle Pereira fight is off. So they get moved to the main card. Derek Lewis, Marcos Rogerio de Lima, what you got?
Yeah, at this price, with the power and Derek Lewis's hands, his strength, everything, the ability to get back up when he's taken down, I had to take a chance at him at plus 185 for just one unit, one unit to win 1.84 or 85. I just think a guy like that who has that many knockouts, who still does have power in his hands, fighting a guy that is not as good as his recent competition by any means. I think there was some value there on his money line. I had to take it. So just a unit, though.
Yeah, I thought this line was just downright disrespectful. Like, it opened minus 155. That's probably where I would have priced it. And that's where the books opened it. But all the steam came in on Rogerio de Lima. Why? I mean, I could tell you why, because Derek Lewis hasn't looked that good. But look at who he's facing and look at who Rogerio de Lima's beating and like how he's beating him. Sure, it might look impressive, but those guys that he's beating are straight trash. Like, even his last fight against Cortez Acosta, he got pieced up in the third round. Like, he won the first 2 rounds, won the second round by just laying on him. And then the third round, he was just getting pieced up on the feet because he was tired and, maybe he just knew he banked the first 2 rounds, didn't want to gas himself out and get finished. But same time, Derek Lewis is always game for a KO. He's the knockout king. And the experience that he has, and he looks like he's in great shape, plus 200. Sign me up. I got it at plus 200 for 0.5 units. And then I also sprinkled Lewis round 2 KO at plus 1,200 for 0.2 units, and Lewis round 3 plus 2,500 for 0.1 units. I think Lewis will probably look to start a little bit slower because of the altitude. De Lima is a round 1 fighter. If Derek Lewis can survive round 1, go into round 2 with more energy and just looking sharper, I think he could take over. And I also took the over 1.5 rounds in that fight, plus 165 for a half a unit. Both guys are fairly durable. You look at De Lima, he's only been knocked out once in his entire career. But Derek Lewis, I think he's got a lot to prove in this spot. I don't think De Lima is some like massive power puncher like a Pavlovich or even like a Tai Tuivasa. I think Derek Lewis can survive. That's really what it comes down to. And I think he could take over late. So over 1.5 plus 165 for a half unit. Had to throw it on there as well. Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green. You got anything on this one?
I don't. This screams parlay buster of the week. In my opinion, I love Tony Ferguson. I almost took him on the money line, but I just couldn't get there, man. I couldn't get there. But I'll be rooting for him for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird animosity between these two guys, which was like interesting to see. Bobby Green's always going to talk that talk, but I had him in a parlay earlier in the week with Bonfim and Kopylov, plus 153 for a unit. So that's Bonfim money line, Roman Kopylov money line, Bobby Green money line, plus 153 for a unit. I think I made that like Sunday. I had to kind of hedge it a little bit with a Ferguson inside the distance at plus 650, only for 0.2 units, because I do think if Tony looks like he could turn back the clock, he usually gets his wins inside the distance. And if Bobby overextends himself a little bit, he could get caught with something, could get subbed. So I had to throw that in there, but I do think Bobby Green gets it done. It's like a somewhat of a hedge. At plus 650, I think it's worth a sprinkle, just because we know what Tony can be. Will he be that? I don't know. Keep her moving. Michael Chiesa, Kevin Holland. The only thing I got in this one is Kevin Holland inside the distance for half a unit at plus 105, because I do think if he wins, he probably finishes them with some kind of submission or TKO. So that's where I'm at. I didn't want to go too heavy on it because Kevin Holland has burned me in the past just because his fight IQ is not like the best, and he loves to put on a show. It's not too much that I want to get too invested in there, but I do think if he wins, he gets it done inside the distance at plus 105. I was willing to throw it in there, so that's what I'm on. What do you got?
Yeah, man. I think this could be my big moneymaker fight of the night. I took Kevin Holland on the money line for 2 units. I'm pretty confident in him. I don't know. I don't like Chiesa, having this supposed back injury. I don't like that he's been off for a couple years. I don't like that he's not the best striker on the feet. And Kevin Holland's pretty damn explosive. And at the same time, Chiesa, if he wants to shoot takedowns on Holland, Holland is he's a black belt on the ground, and he's pulled off 7 submissions in his pro career. And Michael Chiesa has lost 6 fights in his whole career, and 4 of them have come by submission. So he gets submitted. He's been submitted in the UFC a handful of times. So I took Holland by submission round 1 plus 1,000 on FanDuel. Holland submission round 2 plus 1,800, and Holland submission round 3 at plus 4,100. So if one of those hits and we hit the money line, it's a great night. So yeah, man, I think he gets it done. One more confident plays.
Trevin Giles, Gabriel Bonfim. You got anything on that one?
I do not have anything on this one. I couldn't get the Trevin Giles as the underdog. Bonfim scares me on the feet a little with how wild and reckless he was in his first fight. I do see him maybe getting a sub here, but was not confident enough, and I didn't think the line was juicy enough to play it. So laying off.
Yeah, I didn't play anything as far as a straight bet goes. I had him in the parlay, like I said earlier, but then I got a couple underdog plays. This was the first play I put in and gave out to you guys. The higher 75.5 significant strikes for Bobby Green paired with plus 14.5 significant strikes for Trevin Giles in the rival section, 3x for a unit there. I like the plus 14.5 significant strikes. I think they bumped it down all the way to 9.5 by this point, or 8.5, somewhere around there. Trevin Giles has a pretty decent significant strike differential, and if Bonfim's fairly hittable, like he's willing to take one to give one, and going into this one, 14.5 is like too much. Could get an early finish. That's just a lot of strikes that they're giving up for Giles, who has a good jab too. I mean, he could double up that jab and get a couple significant strikes at the same time. And then I also got lower than 37.5 significant strikes for Gabriel Bonfim. That's paired with plus 14.5 significant strikes for Darius Flowers in the rival section. That's 3x for a half unit. I like the lower than 37.5 for Bonfim because I think he probably subs him. And Trevin Giles doesn't get hit all that often. If you look at, he averages like he absorbs like 2 significant strikes per minute. This one's not expected to go that long, so Bonfim probably finishes him early. And if he doesn't, then that probably means Giles is keeping up with him. So you're going to hit one, or he could hit both there. So I like that. Keep her moving. Roman Kopylov, Claudio Hiberio. What do you got on this one?
I love Kopylov this week, man. Minus 200. I'm taking a chance on it at 2 units to win 1. I think he's the better fighter all around here. Hiberio, too, I think could gas at elevation here. He gets tired. He's explosive. He's big. He's full of muscles. Does hit hard, but he throws wild. And I think you got to be a technical fighter to beat a guy like Roman Kopylov. I mean, look at Puna Soriano. I mean, he couldn't do anything really against him. He gassed out, and Kopylov just took over. So I got Kopylov on the money line, like I said, to win 1 unit, and then I've got him in a parlay with Matthew Simmelsberger, which was plus 114, for 3/4 of a unit. Yeah, man, I think he just puts on a clinic against Claudio Hiberio. I could even see him winning inside the distance.
Yeah, I do too. He's my biggest play on the card as well. Kopylov money line minus 200 for 2 unis. I do think he gets this done. I mean, the only way he loses this in my eyes is if he gets clipped in like the first round. So if that happens, I can live with it. But Kopylov is pretty technical kickboxer. He's probably gonna have the better cardio, as you alluded to. I just think he's definitely worth the minus 200 in this spot. Don't think Hiberio is that good. He's fought like, this is his 3rd fight in the UFC. Like, he's fought 3 times since January. So he's kind of one of these guys that just wants to fight all the time. I don't think he's that skilled. Like, look at him against Joseph Holmes, who's straight trash. He's like struggled even trying to grapple. Joseph Holmes struggled with him on the feet a little bit. Eventually got it done, but that was back in May. Like, he's not making big improvements in between fights, so you're pretty much going to get what you just saw. I think Kopylov beats him pretty easily here.
Ribeiro was getting tired in that fight too.
Yeah,
he found the finish, but he was getting tired. You could see it.
Yeah, I think Ribeiro would probably last a round in this elevation, and Kopylov, way more technical, should be able to outlast him.
He's just going to eat body kicks from Kopylov the whole fight.
Yeah.
Jake
Matthews, Darius Flowers. You got anything on this one?
I got nothing. Just one of those sketchy fights again. That, if there's any kind of dog that's going to win this weekend, like a bigger dog, it's a guy like Darius Flowers in this spot, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I hope not. Because I got Kopylov and Jake Matthews in a parlay, minus 111 for 1.11 units. I got Kopylov in like 2 parlays, but this is the only play I have with Matthews. I liked it at the beginning, and then I put that in, and then I kind of started to think about how many times Jake Matthews has looked bad in his career. I didn't like it as much, but either way, I do think he should win. He should absolutely win. And Darius Flowers on short notice. Could he pull something off? Sure. If he does, I'll live with it. But that's also why I threw plus 14.5 significant strikes there too, in the underdog play, because if Flowers wins, he probably catches him early. And if he goes in there just kind of swinging, which I would expect, it's kind of like what he does. He probably covers that pretty easily. Keep her moving. We got 3 fights left. CJ Vergara, Vinicius Salvador. What do you got on this one?
This is why you and I talk about waiting till the weigh-ins are done to finalize our bets and place last-minute bets, because I think it's going to kind of bite me here. I took CJ Vergara by decision plus 275, but after looking at Vinicius Salvador on the scales, missing weight, looked like death. He's going to be at altitude. Like, man, I could see CJ finishing this fight now. So, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe CJ just wrestles a little bit, grapples, tries to take some of the pop out of Salvador early, and it just turns into kind of one of those grinding wins for CJ Vergara. And I do hit the decision prop. I also added him after I saw the weigh-ins on the money line at minus 150 for 1.5 units, just because, I mean, seeing that out of Salvador, it's just kind of a no-brainer, because I think Vergara, more experienced, tough, more durable. Yeah, just a no-brainer.
Yeah, I wanted to get to Salvador the entire week, and then he missed weight. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to lay off of this one. And I also was eyeing up the under 2.5. But then with the weight miss, it's like, sometimes they're like more refreshed with like not having to cut those extra couple pounds, like going into a fight. So yeah, I just laid off this one entirely. So that's, I got nothing on that one. Semelsberger, Uros, Medic. What do you got on that one?
So if this is another fight, this could be a big money maker for me. I took Matthew Semelsberger early in the week. It was my first bet of the week at minus 150 for 2 units. And I also took him by round 2 KO at plus 650 for 0.2 units, and round 3 KO for 0.2 units as well at plus 1,300. Because I think I'll start by saying I was pretty surprised at the weigh-ins and the face-offs that Uros Medic actually looked pretty big. Next to Semelsberger, he looked like the same size, maybe slightly bigger. I didn't expect that, really, them standing side by side. But Matthew Semelsberger is a guy who's tough. He can take your shots. He's going to hit you, and he drops everybody, it seems like. And so I think we're going to see a pretty maybe fast-paced, active first round out of Medic, and then slow down as the fight goes on. And Semelsberger is going to crack all 3 rounds. So we're going to look for that late finish, cash check.
Yeah, I was also hit on Semelsberger pretty early. I got him at minus 145 for a unit. Pissed I didn't throw on more at the time because the line just kept moving and moving and moving. It's not now it's like minus 210, somewhere around there. So I always hate like when you get money in at some spot and then it moves away from you and you like it even more, but you don't want to pay that price. So yeah, I got him minus 145 for a unit. And then I also took the over 1.5 at minus 147 for a unit because I do think Medic looked pretty sizable for 170. And I don't think Semmelsberger is going to be able to put him out too early. The cardio for Medic will probably look a little bit better than at 155, just based off of not having to cut that much weight. And I don't think his strikes are going to like hurt people as much going up to 170. Like Semmelsberger is a pretty durable dude, but he also like he has power, but he's not like some guy that's just going to get into some type of brawl.
Yeah.
Now that I say that, he might, but he like you look at how many knockdowns he has, and he doesn't line up to like how many knockouts he has. So I think both guys can make it 7.5 minutes, and we can cash our ticket there. And then we're down to one fight: Priscilla Cachoeira and Miranda Maverick. What do you got on that one?
I think the price is a little jacked up here. I don't think Miranda Maverick deserves to be this big of a favorite, considering her last performance even. And Cachoeira is always live for a KO. So I took her by KO, plus 500 for 0.25 units. I thought it was worth a shot at that price because she does have a lot of knockouts. She has really heavy hands. This is short notice for Miranda Maverick. And also, if you look at it's another fight. If you look at the weigh-ins, you look at the face-offs, Cachoeira is 4 inches taller than her and big, man. She's big. So I could see Miranda Maverick having trouble closing the distance and getting caught when she is trying to close that distance to get in on takedown or something. So yeah, man, I'm really liking this Cachoeira KO prop. I honestly do. Plus 500. Let's hit it.
I big fan of Priscilla Cachoeira because she's always down to throw. So I had to take her. Round 1 KO plus 1,200 for 0.1 units. Round 2 KO plus 1,600 for 0.1 units because that's when she's most dangerous. That's when she gets her knockouts. Round 1 and round 2. And she's been she had 2 fight cancellations. Like she had to go up and try to make weight. 2 fights. She's gonna come out pissed off. She's gonna come out swinging. She's been off for a while. Our last fight was a knockout in the first round. Miranda Maverick, short notice. Think she's just going to roll over Priscilla Cachoeira. I don't know if it's going to be that easy. So I like her in rounds 1 or 2 with the KO. And I also got the under 2.5 rounds because Priscilla Cachoeira could gas herself out. And she could also get subbed early. So
yeah,
that
could.
But, yeah, I got that at minus 110 for a unit. I just think Priscilla's like too kill or be killed not to take under. And minus 110, it's near even. I thought it was worth it because Maverick could also sub her. She has the submission skills to do so. And if it gets to the ground, I don't like Priscilla Cachoeira's chances. So I like the under there, minus 110 for a unit.
I just see, I see Miranda Maverick struggling with the bigger and taller, longer fighter than Jazz Davicius. So yeah, man, looking at Cachoeira being that much bigger and longer, it's like, if you couldn't get on Jasmine, I know Jasmine's probably a more well-rounded fighter than Cachoeira, but Cachoeira makes you pay when you try to come in and in close to her. So I think it's a great play. I love it. Let's cash big early.
If we can hit the KO with Priscilla Cachoeira first fight of the night, that'd be what a way to start the pay.
Oh yeah,
I'd be fiending for that. But those are the plays, those are the bets. And if you're watching this before, good luck to you. If you're tailing, if you're watching this after, hopefully we hit some picks. Thank you guys for the support. Double Leg Premium members, you guys are the best. Good luck, everyone going into UFC 291. The Double Leg signing out.